Welcome to Put It All on Real. I have two phenomenal women who are going to be joining me, Roberta, the tool lady, and we're so thankful that you're here to join us as well. And hopefully, they'll bring some enlightenment to your life. Definitely have brought enlightenment to my life. I've met them virtually. I've heard their stories. I've heard things that they've overcame, and I believe that it's just a time now for people to reach in and pull out what is the positive of them. So I'm going to let them go ahead and introduce themselves to our audience. Whichever want to go first. Miss Alma, you want to go first?
Yes, my name is Minister Alma
Oh, you're
Thomas.
still.
My name is Minister Alma Thomas. I'm an author, a motivational speaker, and if you notice that I am laying down, and it's not because it's time for me to go to bed, but it's because 3 years ago I suffered a massive stroke, and my right side was rendered immobile. But I still show up transparent to let people know that you can face challenges in life, but you don't have to let your dreams die.
All right. Woo, Miss. Hey, Minister Thomas, you gave us a whole lot. I said just tell them hello right now. All right. All right. Miss Aziz, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Imana Aziz. I am the founder of Imana Aziz LLC. I'm a motivational and women's life design coach where I teach women how to not only advocate for themselves, but to design a life that they're happy in and that they have no regrets.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So we have a conversation for you guys tonight. I promise you. Um, Again, following both of these ladies, I've just been in awe. So let's go ahead and do a mental health check-in to start off with. What we're going to start with Emmanuel. How are you feeling? What's your mental health check-in tonight?
I'm actually feeling quite excited and motivated to be able to spread the message, to be on the show, and to am honored. My mental health checker is the feeling of being honored to serve your platform and all the individuals that get the message for tonight.
I love it. I love it. All right. How about you, Minister Thomas? What is your emotional mental health check tonight?
My mental health is I'm very excited because whenever I get the opportunity to share my testimony, if I can just inspire one person tonight, then my living won't be in vain.
Yes, I love that. Oh yeah. Well, I'm excited too because both of you ladies bring a power packed story. Both of you women bring phenomenal story. Just an extra ordinary story because it takes a whole lot to keep going. It takes a whole lot. Some people don't have that. And so, my goal tonight, bringing you to my audience, is that somebody hears it and they get it. They get a little bit of it, just a little bit of that light that you got, because you both shine very brightly. So, I'm excited. Now, my question for you, as I know that both of you guys have been through change, as Minister Thomas spoke about, she said, "Hey, you know what? I'm in a bed. I had a stroke, pretty big deal." Um, Emmanuel, as she's going to tell her part of her story as well. So we got to make sure we schedule this thing out. I'm a talker, y'all. So, but what I did get, you both have been through some transitions. So the question of tonight: how do you know that it's time for a change? How do you know? And either one of you can start.
For me and for a lot of people that I've talked throughout the years, how do you know it's time for a change? But when your heart and your mind tells you, not when, what you want. When you want to fix things, when you want to continue, when you want to try, that's different. When you can sit at night and you can be one and speak to yourself and actually ask yourself that voice that says, this ain't working, this isn't right, something else is going to happen. Not your counter voice, your innermost heartfelt dialogue will tell you. Now, don't mean we're going to listen to it, but that's when it's time for a change.
Oh, wait. Okay. Okay. So basically when your heart is telling you, when your brain is telling you, hey, something has to change.
Yes.
That sounds good. How about you, Minister Thomas?
Well, when I decided that I had to change, it was after one of the most heartbreaking things that happened in my life. My son passed away at 18 from a heart attack. And you know that in the African American community, that mental health and mental issues are looked at as being taboo. People tell you that you weak. If you love God enough, then you won't be going through. And with me being a minister and knowing that this world is not our home, but I couldn't accept the fact of what I was feeling. Um, People would tell me he's in a better place, and in my mind I would be thinking, okay, if he's in such a better place, let your child go to the better place, and then
Mm,
tomorrow you tell me if the better place is better than his bedroom. um People were
wow.
saying my 98-year-old grandfather had a heart attack and he lived in. I was saying, why was your 98-year-old grandfather spared, but my 18-year-old didn't survive? And I knew that having those thoughts weren't right and that I was silently on the outside. Everybody is telling me, be strong. You're so strong. I don't know how you buried your child. I wouldn't be able to do it. And that's when I realized that I had to make a change, not keep having a pity party, woe is me, but how was I going to be able to survive the worst thing in my life? And because I went through that and I came out on the other side, that's why all the rest of the tragedies that I've faced in my life, I faced them head on, because once you've already been through the worst thing, there's nothing else that can knock you down and knock you out the race.
That's right. That's right. And you know what? And I think I'm also speaking for Emmanuel because we spoke. I believe once you went through what I consider hell,
Hmm.
especially while you're living, because you're speaking of a place that's uncomfortable. As Emmanuel said, when your inner side is saying, "Hey, this is not comfortable. I don't feel good," you've got to change. And believe it or not, Minister Thomas and Emmanuel, a lot of people stick in there. They stick in there, like you said. They want to change it. They want to fix it. And if they don't want to fix it and change it, like Minister Thomas said, they'll justify it. You're gonna
Yes.
be okay. You're stronger than that. It's gonna happen. It's gonna. This is how it's supposed to be, right? But the truth
Right.
is that we are allowed to have feelings. We are allowed to have emotions, and bad things happen, and it does affect us. Uh, and certainly when there's nothing we can do about it, nothing we can do about it. So I appreciate your candidacy, both of you all, because that is a hard one. That's a hard one, I think. Um, I know that Amona's story is similar to mine, coming from abusive relationship, uh, being a single parent, and managing her life for others and trying to help others. And I know, Mr. Thomas, I know certainly you got some fire to still be laying down, but saying, I'm not going to lay down. That takes a lot. It takes a whole lot. So, again, I really appreciate you all joining me tonight for our conversation. Because again, people need to hear these stories about your journey, and they need some type of, hey, what can I do? Because they're stuck. Some of them hear that inner side of them inside, or that inner voice saying, "Hey, I got to change," but they're scared.
That's okay.
They're scared of change. Yeah, yeah. So now let's talk about this. Um, Tonight's topic, you guys got so much fire with you because I know y'all ready for it. Tonight, tonight's topic is, how do you deal with accepting is accepting change? And it said, let me ask the question. And would you tell someone that is struggling and battling with life today they are ready to give up? What would you say to them?
So, technically, a lot of with mental health, especially after the pandemic being on the rise. And I'm really grateful that people are recognizing this in all communities. Doesn't mean it's accepted in all communities, but with things such as online platforms, it's being able to reach a larger audience. However, that doesn't mean that people want to even share with someone that could be in the mental health space. So if there was someone that was coming to me and they were just ready to just throw it all away, the question would first be, what are you struggling with? And many times, especially in the African American community, we don't get that ear. As Minister Thomas had said, and correct me if I'm wrong, you were grieving, but people were shutting you down, saying, it'll be okay, this person passed. We don't get that solitude, that shoulder to cry on. We don't get a chance to let ourselves cry and relieve that, because no matter what you do, wounds do not heal over time. Wounds will get covered over time. If those wounds aren't healed, if those wounds are not dealt with how they should be, then they will have an effect later on. And that's what we're seeing. A lot of people in their teens, in their early adults, in their 40s, 50s and over, we're dealing with a lot of childhood trauma, and young adult trauma, sibling trauma, parent trauma. A lot of these unnoticeable wounds, we're dealing with those. So when they're just tired and feeling overwhelmed, first you need that outlet. We need someone to listen. We need someone to just be there to hear without judgment. They don't need questions. They just need that outlet. Once they are given that outlet, then the question would be, now, do you want to continue feeling like this? Or would you like to work on not? Depending on where they are in their journey, they would choose to continue feeling like this, which, again, depending on their mental state, you may want to seek further help or just sit with them more. Or if they say, I don't like the way this feels, because they do have that voice that's telling them, then we will work on how we will continue to go to. I study and I do train under NLP, and that deals with generational trauma. It does with the old generation, like, when I reached out and told my mother that I needed to seek help mentally when I was younger, I was told, Black girls don't need therapists. That's a white girl thing.
Right.
Yes. And
Right.
that actually stayed with me for years, and I never sought help around her again. I did later as an adult. But because of that, as I was learning to heal myself, I poured some of that on my children. So as an adult and as a fully functioning visual adult of my actions, I'm more careful with my kids. Like, I know that y'all experienced some trauma. I did while I was healing. So I'm more careful with you so that not only can you heal from what I dumped on you, but you can heal from what was caused by what I dumped on you. And that's
Yes,
important because it's not always just what you see the person's going through. That could be the last straw.
that's right. That's
And
right.
it had being that ear helps so much
That's right.
because and do I think my mom responded? Absolutely. My mom was the middle child, and they have that whole middle child syndrome as well. You know, they have the oldest child, middle child, the youngest child syndrome, and she fully encompassed the thoughts of what a middle child was. And the thing is like she wasn't neglected as per se as being a middle child, but she felt that way because that's what society told her because she was the middle child. So she acted upon it. It was a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
with my on my grandma's end, there was just trauma even from that because her oldest son, my uncle Ricky, uh, had died in a pool accident 2 months after my grandfather, her husband, was shot killed from out of another woman's house. But
Yeah.
um, so she had that, and she went into what a lot of us were doing. We do an extreme trauma. It was in self denial. So she went into like robot mode. She still paid her bills. She still put food on the table, but she did not have the emotional capacity to handle her children. And in return, it further gave my mom the agreement and the affirmations that she was the middle child and was being neglected, even if we went through all of them. And she carried that upon and to us. But because she did not heal, she had 8 kids. I'm one of 9, but she had 8 kids. And you can tell the difference between us as the children we get older and all the way down to the younger one. And as she was learning to heal, and she still has a lot of healing to go. You know, we have some of our older generation that just refuse. We all know them who just refuse. But she's doing a little better. But just us confronting her as an adult of how she still has a certain mindset lets you know how deep and hard it was.
Yeah.
Now, just knowing that my mom is 63 now and she's learning to say sorry, let,
Yeah.
let you know it's never too late.
Right, right, right. But I've said with older African, first I want to say with that the listening. I like that you attribute that the reason why we don't get here because we don't get that chance, like Minister Thomas said, to tell someone, hey, this is how I feel, and not a response. So I think when you're talking to someone, the main thing is to know you're just there to listen and not respond. Start listening for not the response. Because so often we listen to each other so we can get ready for that response. Like, oh, so she's talking to me, so I got to figure out right now while she's talking what I want to say. No, we need to just be that ear, and just say, oh, okay. Because sometimes, like Minister Thomas said, what we're saying is disqualifying really what that individual is feeling anyway. Because we don't know what that person has going on in their heart or in their mind. So we're disqualifying it when we justify it, right? Or we're giving our own justification because we're not in the pain that that person is in. So the reality is, oh, I have that ear. So I like that you spoke that we don't get that ear because we don't. And if it's mental health, if it's birth control, if it's just things, even being a woman, things about being a woman, of having choices, we usually get shut down. No, 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 women don't do that. Or if it's birth control, what you need that for? Mental health, who needs that? That's not for you. So we usually do get shut down, and they don't listen to the whole deal, and we don't get that ear of even being able to get heard. So I understand that, and that's something that I've been saying over and over on as I'm on this podcast journey, is that I'm learning to listen, but not listen to respond. Listen just to listen, because I want to hear and learn something too. I can hear and learn from your stories. And that's what where we need to learn from. Um, so I agree with, a lot of this is from our traumas, and then unfortunately the continued traumas.
Mm.
So not even listening or being able to be heard during our traumas, but being re-traumatized continually through the lifespan. Um, now, Minister Thomas, you want to contribute? You want to share?
Well, when I would tell someone that's at the end of their rope and whatever that they're going through, I would listen and then would tell them about the point in my life when after my son passed away. He passed away February 13th, 2009, and on April 17th, 2009, that was his first birthday in heaven. And I said, I wonder if my grandma is baking him a cake. The angels singing happy birthday to him. And then I had decided that I wanted to spend his birthday with him. That I had made all 18 of his birthdays special. So this 19th one would be just as special. And um I poured all my pills into my hand and I was about to take every last one of my high blood pressure pills. And a small voice said to me, "If you do it, you'll never see him again." And I put the pills back and in the bottle. And then, and only then did I start to think about the effect of me unaliving myself would have on my daughter, on my mother, on my sisters. And I said, that's when I realized that I had to change, that I could no longer stay in the position I was in, that I didn't know how to do it. See, sometimes you don't know how to do it. You're expected because you hold a position in the church. You're still human. You're still having human emotions, and people are expecting you to be superwoman all the time, and you can't. And that whatever, and I would tell them that whatever you're going through, the darkest day of your life, you can make it through on the other side, because on the darkest period of my life when I was ready to throw in the towel, I had to reach deep down inside of me. And that song by Whitney Houston, I didn't know my own strength. Well, I didn't know my own strength. Just like the people who weren't expecting me to make it, I didn't know how I was going to make it. But I realized that I went to see a therapist, and I realized that in the church, we encourage people to take their high blood pressure pills, their diabetes pills, but we don't encourage them if they might need anxiety pills. They might need schizophrenia pills, and we label them as having demons in them, and really they're dealing with mental issues. And not every clergyman is equipped to deal with that. Sometimes you got to go to the root of your problem. And I would tell them that it's okay not to be okay. That when I realized that I was okay, I didn't care about traditions, I didn't care about legalism, I didn't care who was going to say what about me. I needed to help. I knew that I needed to change, and that throwing in the towel was not the answer, because all of us have greatness in us, and the cemeteries are full of unfulfilled potential, dead dreams, and visions. So you don't, because you've gone through something traumatic, you've had bad chapters. I had a couple of bad chapters in my life, but I refuse to not chase after my dreams. Like I told you that before my stroke, I wrote two books. Well, after my stroke, I've written 3 books. My right side is compromised, and that's my dominant side. So I use this one finger, this one pointer finger, and on my telephone, I tip tap 3 whole books that right before I came on tonight, the Surviving the Stroke Against All Odds became live on Amazon. So you don't, I'm a prime example of you don't have to give up. You can. What I learned how to do in life is accept the things that I cannot do and embrace the things that I still can do. I still have a voice, so I can tell people don't give up. Don't throw in the towel. That when you feel like your rope of hope is almost broke, you reach beyond that break. Call somebody, tell somebody, don't suffer in silence.
That's right. That's right. That's right. I like that. So the truth is, you're not alone. You're not alone, and that's for the domestic violence survivors. That's for the parents who have lost their children, and I don't like the word lost. I really don't. The parents that their children have transitioned from this life. That goes out for all of you who have went through these experiences, as my ladies that are here tonight. Uh, they're both again phenomenal women. They are both overcomers. And that is why I was so excited that they decided to join me tonight and to talk about their lives. And they're so transparent. You know, they are very transparent. So they are here to serve, and that's their goal, is to serve and to save lives. It's ironic that Minister Thomas kind of repeated the same thing that I be repeating all the time. Check your mental health just like you would your blood pressure, your uh, your glucose for your diabetes. If you take pills for asthma, whatever you have to maintain, learn how to maintain your mental health, because a lot of things are here in your brain. And I've been reading here lately where it even talks about how our brain turns against us, meaning that it feeds us thoughts that we are, again, of suicide, that we are done with. Our brain will start feeding us those thoughts. So we have to know this is just my brain saying this, but it's not true. A lot of it's not real. And even though I feel like I'm stuck, I can be unstuck. I can be unstuck. So that's what our message I want you to get from our ladies we have tonight. Um, what I wanted to know from both of your stories, and we're going to go ahead and start with Emmanuel, because I know uh, Minister Thomas have gave us the twos and threes over here. So, uh, but I want to start with Emmanuel to start first, to share with us, when did you know that your change was coming? And
Okay,
then
well,
I want to know, go
mhm.
ahead.
Okay, go ahead. You want to know when did I know my change was coming? And because I'll
And
try it
then,
on.
okay. And then what did you do? What was your first step? Because I believe a first step takes you to the other steps. You see what I'm saying? If you're scared of the first step, and the first step might be just like this, just a small step. But if you take that first step, it's almost like that mustard seed. It's getting ready to do something different than what you had before
The
anyway.
first step is always the hardest, and the first step is always in your head. It's
Okay.
not physical. It's not when you get behind the wheel. It's not when you put down the pills. It's not when you decide you're not going to drink anymore, put down the cereals. The first step is when you decide, I can't, or I can, depending on what it is you're doing. Now, as you had mentioned, and we spoke before, I have been through many things, even including the chair that I use right now. It is a massaging chair because I have a herniated back disc that happened a few months after my son was born, and for a while I couldn't actually even move. I'm actually practicing now for my first 5K, which is a miracle in and of itself. I also have a wrap on my knee because, well, when my back went out, my muscles stuff deteriorated to cause my me to fall while climbing stairs and crush the bones of my knee. But to say when did the first steps start, it was way before then. It was back during my marriage with my ex-husband, who was highly abusive. And at the time, because of our community and because of society's standards, I expected I had to stay in this marriage. I expected that I had to be in there for the kids. I expected, like, who's going to want somebody that has kids? You know, we hear all that stuff as women. We hear all that stuff as Black women. And we hear even more. I'm a Black, single mom, Muslim woman. I'm like, I have all the boxes in almost all the boxes in today's society that would tell you that I should not have succeeded. I should be on some form of state assistance, and I should not be standing here telling my story. But here I am. But when it came down to my ex-husband and seeing my children, there was many times where I did the right thing. And I said yes more. Doesn't work. Because the more you give that is not aligned with you, the more they take. And the more miserable and the more it affects your mentality. You become someone that you don't recognize. And I was becoming that person I didn't recognize. I was the first child of my family to go to college. I double majored. I became someone that I looked in the mirror and I just did not want to see anymore. I had two little girls, two teens now, but I had two little girls. And it was the day that he pulled the gun out and put it to my face. And I looked him in the eyes like, is this how you want someone to treat your daughters too? This is what you want them to see. And he said, if they come out acting like you, then I don't care. And when he said that, I said, okay. And I walked down our porch. I sat in the car, and I thought about it. He went inside the house, gave him money because he was a drinker, but he wasn't an angry drunk, which is weird. He was just did not get the mental. Like, that's a whole nother subject of how people don't get mental support. But he was not in his correct mind, like, ever. So he left the house and I sat there. And for once, I wasn't sitting there saying, how can I make this relationship work? How can I keep these kids' father in their life? Because isn't that what we're told? The kids need their dad. They don't tell you the kids need a positive role model. They don't tell you that the kids need to be somewhere where they learn how to love, where they can reach their mental health, where they can get a good school. They need a two-parent household, no matter who it is. I have a saying, and I tell my kids all the time. They say, you made your bed, now lay on it. I say, you made your bed, and if you don't like the way it feels, make it up over and over again until you love it.
That's right. I like that.
Because of the situation that I was in, and prior to that, I quit my job because my money, other than paying for our utilities, it all went to him. If it didn't go to him, those things still tribute. Actually, the money didn't go to him, then I was broke. So I'd rather actually not had any money than to have money that constantly went to him. I actually had bought our house. I was a homeowner at 24 years old, 2-bedroom house on 2.5 acres of land, which I was very proud for. So that was also the inner part of me was like, don't leave this, look all you work for. Kick him out. Don't tell a woman to kick out an abusive man, because that's how women be unalived. You don't know. She needs a safe spot. I did not have that safe spot where I was. So I had to take the choice of the 24 hours while he was going to pack my suitcase, save up the bit of money I had, and leave to a different state with my kids, and we never turned back. They say a woman leaves 3 times and returns 3 times before she decides not to come back. I said, when I leave one time, I'm never coming back. And I have never turned back. As for triggers, and that's important, because I wanted to show my girls and all other women out there that we don't have to accept this. Our brains can tell us, but what about this is okay. It can tell us, what about this all you want to. What ifs don't mean anything. The reality is, look at what's going on and know it's not true. Look at what's going on and know that you weren't made for this. Look at what's going on and know that if you were in an abusive family, if you were in an abusive relationship, if all your exes have told you you weren't crap, so you say that, hey, it must be true. When we come to this world, we come here by ourselves. Unless you're twins. And when we go into this world, you go on out by yourself. When you leave, those people are gonna move on to somebody else. Why live your life depending on what they say? The
That's right.
greatest thing you can do is separate other people's thoughts, expectations, abuse, and trauma from our mind and get mental clarity to who the heck we are and own it. Once
All
we
right.
own our power, once we say that I am, and as I told you before, I'm a mama, I'm a still Aziz. This is who I am, and this is who you're going to respect. It. If you can't do it, there's the door.
I
That is
love
how
it.
we're going to do it.
I love it. I love
Once I left him
it.
and we were established, I knew that I was going to have issues because I was with this man for 9 years and I respected that and I allowed myself to grieve, but I also allowed myself to get to a therapist so I can go and grieve. Because again, we don't get that in the Black community, and I want to make that more common. I want my
I
daughters
like
to know this is okay. I want my daughters to know, look, your daddy, this was the person you chose. He is your father, but you're not him.
that's
You are
right.
so much greater than anything that anybody will ever say to you. So if you cry for him, go ahead, baby girl, cry. But we're not going to stay there. You are allowed to cry. You are allowed to stop. You are allowed to feel like you failed, but you are not allowed to give up. Failure
That's
means that you gave up. Until there is no more to talk about. And God
yeah.
calls us home, you've never failed.
That's right. That's right. I love that. All right. And Minister Thomas, and I'm going to tell both of you ladies, we got 3 more minutes. So I'm going to let you in right now, Minister Thomas. But I'm going to always ask you guys to come back. I really enjoyed your stories, and I know it's so much you got to offer the audience. So go ahead on, Minister Thomas. I'm not going to stop you anymore.
If I was to say one more time thing to the audience tonight, it would be, remember when we were children and we used to dare each other to do things and used to do them because someone dared you to do it. I did it because they dared me. Well, on tonight, I double dogged your audience to dream again. Reach deep down inside in those dreams that they have rocked asleep. Awaken the dreamer in you and dream again.
I love that. I love that. I love that. I love that. I agree with that. I don't know if you have heard the last lecture. Um, I'm a bit of a dark spirit myself, and not saying anything is wrong with darkness, but I'm just saying it's a it's a lecture that is called the last lecture, and it's by a doctor, and I'm gonna look it up right quick. But anyway, he talks about that. He talks about how you live a life. Of course, it's his last lecture because he's eternally ill, and he knows he's going to be leaving. But he said, if I leave anything, is to reconnect with your dreams. He said, because that's what I did all of my life. So I don't want you to be sad for me because of how my life is, because I connected with my dreams. So I lived happily. And he also talked about how when you connect with your dreams, they gravitate to you, right? So, Minister Thomas, you wanted to probably be a writer, and your dreams, they gravitated to you. Uh, Amanu, you probably wanted to be a leader and a motivational speaker and a woman empowerment agent, and it just gravitates to you. So he talks about that, how when you connect with your true dreams, they those things come to you. And what I've noticed, Minister Thomas and Imiana, that a lot of people are scared to dream. So I appreciate that challenge. And thank you all again for joining me tonight as we end our show.
It's been an honor.
Good night. Good night. Thank
It's been phenomenal. And if you want to tell our audience where to find you at, go ahead.
Miss Thomas, go ahead.
Okay, you can find me at Facebook, Alma Thomas. Also on Facebook, Alma Thomas Author Ministry page.
All right.
And you can find me under my name, Imana Aziz, on Facebook, as well as Imana's Voice on Instagram.
And of course, I'm Roberta the Tool Lady. You can find me on Facebook, all areas of the platform. And I do want to hear from you, just as I heard from these ladies. Uh, Please let us know what you think about our show. Good night, ladies.
Good night.
Peace and love.